Anyway, one day, she came to me, Joe. I said, what, Mary? Joe, I want to do a painting in the dining room. I said, that's nice, Mary. And she said, do you think they'll let me? And I thought, no. And I said, well, ask them. There's a table along here. This is the wall. And the wall extended further down. So she went around asking people. And to my astonishment, everyone said yes. So she quickly went and got paint, because she didn't believe that the permission would continue. And she started to paint, late at morning, I think. And it wasn't just painting. It was a painting of the crucifixion and various saints, and Jesus was in the center. And she was part of it. It was there. It was like a mystical experience, an extraordinary experience. And I watched her. And she was talking to all the different figures in the painting. And 8 hours later, she finished it, totally finished the whole beautiful mural. And it's one of the most moving experiences in my life, to see her do this, to be part of this, and to encourage her. And just to understand that for her, 8 hours is like 8 million years. And time was condensed and contracted, and space was condensed. And she was here when she was not here. She was in talking to all the figures in the painting. Okay, this is the games room. And this was the original snooker table we had then. And when Mary was here, the place was full of black paintings, black breasts, and black trees, and black blobs, to the point where people could scream. One night, one of the residents came in the middle of the night and took it all down. And she came and she woke me up screaming, they were all gone, they're gone, Joe, do something, Joe, do something. And then I had to negotiate with the house. And could she still stay? What paintings could he put up, what couldn't she put up, and so forth. We can imagine this room was all her insides.
I think that this is going to look more like the snowdrop, actually. This is the first thing of the spring in England.
Yes.
Spring. And this flower comes out very often when there's still the snow, you know, the snow on the ground, bit of snow, but still. And it's the very first sort of hope or sign of the spring. When the sky is still quite dark and the brown of the earth, and has green leaves that seem to spike up to the sky. And here in Devon it grows so much, it grows wild.
He hadn't come to tea. I lit candles, 3, for Ronnie, Peter, and me, in a church, silent as Ronnie's room, when we sat waiting to see if Peter would come to tea. I felt tears coming. The soul of Ronnie was humming. He sat still, cross-legged on a mat. Opposite him, my soul unbent. In harmony, took up the beat. I made my retreat to the street. 3 candles I lit in the church, for Ronnie, for Peter, for me.
There were 2 journeys in her life, 2 inner journeys, and one of those was helped through psychotherapy, and the other journey was through her faith. I think both gave her a framework and some kind of a structure in which she could work out those traumas and explore her inner depths and reach for those heights.
The whole process, the whole thing hinges on trust. If you trust enough, I don't think in a certain sense there is such a thing as a mistake. I remember Joe used to say I make mistakes. Sometimes I say, oh no, Joe, I never do. Well, I think what it was, that my inner being used to turn what he might have considered a mistake into something that was nothing but good.
It is now November 2000, and I am now 77 years old. Owing to osteoarthritis of my spine, I am now dependent upon a self-propelled wheelchair when not laying on my bed. I have a walking stick, which is always with me, and using it enables me to stand. Otherwise, I am in good physical and mental health and live in sheltered housing in the Highlands of Scotland. Kingsley Hall was an intense heaven and the black depth of hell. All that we had packed inside ourselves was there thrown into the open. But we survived. As a Christian, I am asked first to adore and worship God, and secondly, to love my neighbour. I love myself, but I'm not too sure about my neighbour. It varies as to who my neighbour is at any particular time. I stress in confession and for the good I have omitted to do. Life is very trying, and I trust when we have tried enough, God gives us a break and relieves us of further effort. That's death. May it come peacefully to me. Meanwhile, I pray, oh God, may I float as a gull on the waves of your love. God is as remote as the furthest star and closer than my own hand. I am part of an eternal whole that is as clay in the hand of God.
Death, the floodgates of my soul are open, and the water of my life flows out into the endless sea of light.
Mary died on Friday morning, the 29th of June of this year. I had spoken with her the night before to say that my wife Shri and myself would soon travel to be with her in Tomantoul, the pretty Highland village where she had lived for many years. In fact, it's the highest community in the north of Scotland. Mary had long wanted us to visit her there. Mary was a culture hero, or should I say culture heroine. Her power lay in the huge numbers of patients and potential patients who were inspired by her life story. She descended into the underworld of the unconscious and emerged unscathed, renewed, and bearing gifts of wisdom. By her archetypical journey, she confirmed Artie Lang's ideas as well as her own, that madness could be a cyclical process that should be understood in its own terms. Moreover, she showed that breakdown could lead to breakthrough, to a cleansing of the self and a refreshment of the mind and a renewal of the soul.
It was